Since the first album came out, I've been writing a lot. You know, I've got so many songs that aren't on this album, which is kind of frustrating in some ways. I've been DJing a lot as well. We've been touring still. We just toured South America last year for the first time, done some stuff in Asia, you know, a lot of the places that you don't get time to go to in the first crazy year. So it's been cool doing lots of that stuff and seeing those places. And yeah, it took me a little while to find the sound and the direction for the album and find the right people to work with. It was amazing working with Tim and Bruno as well, who worked on the record. You know, he just really understood where I wanted to go with it, and it was a very kind of random bunch of demos of, you know, a lot of them are super pop songs, and it took a lot of imagination for someone to hear them as they were, and then if you hear them as they are now, some of them have come a long way, and you know, so much credit to them for that they could hear these songs that maybe didn't really make sense at the start and hear where I wanted to take them. So it was amazing, and the studio is just like this mad laboratory with all these old analog gear everywhere, some stuff I'd never even seen or, you know, heard, like a legend that this synth existed, and there it would be under this dust, and Tim would start patching it in. So it was really cool getting to use all that stuff and just see how he reacted and how he finds sounds and where he draws references from. Like I can't work with those soft synths on Logic that everyone has, of silence and stuff, and go through all the menus and just, I don't know, it's not really me. I like to be able to touch stuff. I'm a big Korg fan. These are all Korgs actually. This is an old Poly 6, which is kind of like a Juno but meaner. It sounds like a nastier, more Russian version without quite being a Russian synth. It's really good. This is my Tenorion, which I got quite known for playing, but I usually just use it as a clock in here, if I'm really honest, because it's not a very practical writing instrument. But most of the stuff just comes from piano, which is on. Most of the time I just write from piano and put some little vocals down, and it's more for like sketching ideas in here, you know. This is a very battered copy of ABBA Arrival. I wanted to pick The Visitors, but I seem to have lost my copy, but this is still great, especially for this amazing picture. We always joke that my live band, we look like ABBA, because I've got a girl with dark hair and two kind of hairy guys in my band. But I'm a huge ABBA fan, and especially when you listen to songs like, I mean, the song The Visitors, the first track off the album, really influenced a track called Strangers on the album. And you know, that song's pretty experimental and pretty weird, some of the sounds going on, and you just think of ABBA and think of Thank You for the Music, or like Meryl Streep in Mamma Mia, you know, and it's a shame because there's some really incredible production moments on there as well as in amazing songs that I'm just constantly in awe of their songwriting. I actually wrote Strangers, or started writing it in Sweden on my phone, and I don't know if it was just that big picture of ABBA at the airport that set me off, but it does sound very Swedish actually. This is more representative of, you know, there's not really a definitive album of this kind of music maybe, but this is Waiting on an Angel, which is by Jamie Principle on Frankie Knuckles Presents on Trax Records, which is the kind of original legendary Chicago house label that I actually was lucky enough to do a release with last year, so that was amazing for me. And this is, I mean, this song in particular I really love because it's this combination of, you know, it's dance music, but there's something sad and something very emotional in there, and something kind of melancholic and dreamy with this really tough, very physical feeling track underneath, and that combination of like darkness and light and physical just dancing, and then with quite a sadness in it as well. I love these kind of happy sad songs. Donna Summer is a bit of an obvious choice, but I'm just so excited by this amazing pop-out edition that I found in a vintage market in Rio, and it's just really cool. And it's actually a great record. It's a live record, but you know, you get to hear all the band doing those cheesy stabs and stuff, which I really like. You've got the very machine-like, kind of almost cold beats at some point. There's nothing human in some of these records. Some of those Moroder records, there's no human played instruments, but then you've got such a warmth and such a kind of sexuality coming from her voice. It's just this amazing combination of things that is still a huge influence on me and on so many dance records. So I thought it deserved to be in there, especially being such a cool edition. This is a Madonna record which has got lots of extended versions on, which I love. I feel like it was when remixes first really started to get mainstream, and they're really fun, and melodically a lot of the vocal ideas and the spacing between lyrics and things like Into the Groove were really influential. A song called Every Night I Say a Prayer on the album, which I actually wrote quite a while ago with Andy Butler from Hercules. You know, my vocal and piano parts were really, you can hear, were really inspired by Madonna. This is an old Italo record by Gazebo. I love Italo disco, most people who know me knows. And this song is called I Like Chopin, and it's basically a love song about Chopin and features lots of little piano lines over this sad disco song. But there's a lot of piano in this album, and I did think of this record when doing it and thinking how this is kind of a disco record that's just this really like mournful thing about a classical pianist, which is completely bizarre. These are two more great records with great covers that are more general influences, I guess, that I picked out of my pile. Well, I was with a major label for the first record, and the whole reason I'm not now is because they didn't really support the direction I was going in, and you know, there's quite a few times during the first campaign when I felt a bit out of control and maybe wasn't totally happy with everything. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff, but you know, there's sometimes I felt like I made compromises, and I'm just not that kind of artist. I don't think, when I look at all the artists that I respect and I admire, that most of them are really independent and just, you know, go with their gut and their creative instincts. So, you know, I don't think in the UK there's a really interesting pop label, for example. So I didn't really find the right place, and a lot of people are doing this kind of setup. Cobot, who my label runs through, they've just done Nick Cave, they're doing the Pet Shop Boys, they're doing Maya Jane Cole's, some amazing records. And I think it's so artist friendly, you keep all your creative control, all your rights. It's kind of like a no-brainer when you really think about it.